Oh, I'm live. And I lost the picture and I was like, what is going on today? And then I realized I didn't have my light on. I'm still not prepared for that. I need to get with the program. So this morning has been the strangest. Going back to work today, I'm on a special project and I'm talking a lot with people who are on payment plans. See how they're going, check in with them, those sort of things. Anyway, I thought, oh, I might grab a couple of crumpets for breakfast. Well, crumpets generally have six. I had to check because I was like, there's supposed to be six crumpets in a packet, right? Isn't that how it works? So I checked on the outside. Yep, six. I had seven. So obviously they came to the same weight. They must be skinnier ones. So they're obviously sending them out thinner for those of us in isolation so we don't get overweight. Hey, Hayley, good morning. How are you, my darling? And I had seven. So I get to have three crumpets this morning. Hey, Balance the Scales, Reiki. How you going? I know who you are. You can't get away from me. Anyway, so that was my first experience. The second thing is I thought I'd get ready for winter. So I called in someone to have a look at my heater for me because I've had my gas heater for 5 years. It's my best friend. I love it. And it's such a good heater. And despite the fact it was quite expensive, it's already earned its 5 years worth. Hey, Susan, good morning. Anyway, so I called the guy and he was fabulous. Came with this other guy. They fixed the heater, put a new hose on it because my old one had a bit of a kink in it. And I said to him, anyway, so the new hose is better. It's easier for me to put in the gas insertion, whatever you'd like to call it. I'm great, thank you, Hayley. Anyway, I said to him, hey, I've had my heater for 5 years. It's fabulous. You know, if I ever had another heater, I'd get exactly the same thing again because it's been so good. How often are you supposed to get them serviced? He said, oh, every 12 months. Oh, okay. So 5 years was a little bit long then. I take it up 5 years was a little bit too long. And he said, you know what? He said it was in pretty good condition. He said sometimes the fans get a bit sort of dusty and that makes it really hard to I know, right? Whoops. Because somebody said to me once something about getting my iron. Hey, Teresa, how you going? And you're here. Yeah. Somebody once said to me something about getting your iron serviced, and I was like, your iron? I used to go through irons so much because I used to iron everything, working clothes, being corporate. Nowadays, we don't seem to have the worry of we only wear sort of semi-casual formal clothes to work, so there's no big deal. Whereas for years, of course, especially working in some of the big organizations, had to be really dressed up for work, you know, and I just go through so many irons trying to look good. So I'm sort of I don't now. I've had my last iron for a few years now and it's still going. I'm reading you a card from the Animal Spirit Guidebook first. And I'm going to read you another card after this one. Oh, we got two again. That's really interesting. We've had that before. Oh, I am loving that. The Phoenix. Ooh, and the bear. All right, so let's see what that means for us. The bear is an earth sign. No, maybe not an earth sign. Yeah, there it is. Okay. Waking from spiritual slumber and beginning anew. And then we have that. Oh, come on. How cool is that? So the bear's waking up from his slumber and we get rebirthing the phoenix. That is so cool. So cool. Okay, let's start with this little guy. So waking from spiritual slumber and beginning anew. New starts happening here, guys. Big ones. Cherie, how are you going? Darcy, how are you? Okay, it is beautiful, Hayley. I agree with you. We're going to have great messages today. So after a long winter, the bear arises from deep slumber. At first, the movement and effort are difficult, but the bear knows it's time to awaken and move towards the dawning light. The bear card represents an individual on the cusp of new directions and personal transformation. Ooh. The initial weeks and months of this spiritual guest may feel tricky, cumbersome, and full of obstacles, but you have no choice, Bear. Winter wanes, the warmth of spring emerges, and your transformation begins. That is really cool. Really cool. I'm going to read that last paragraph again. Hello, Melissa. How are you going? So this is when in balance, it talks about inner strength and yearning to grow. But that last paragraph says, but you have no choice, Bear. Winter wanes, the warmth of spring emerges, and your transformation begins. Okay, I'm excited after reading that. Okay, so I want to see what the Phoenix says now. Okay. Oh, freedom from suffering and past karma and reincarnation. We've got a beautiful message here today. Okay, the Phoenix. The Phoenix represents the transformation of our past. It doesn't mean running away from it, denying it, or burning bridges with rage. The Phoenix employs an advanced technique described in yoga as the burning of impurities through practice and dedication, tapas. The essence of the Phoenix is with us when we realize we have been suffering too long and something must change. Or we're rebirthing something big here. We take a stand and decide to live consciously instead of being driven by the unconscious mind and its long list of fears and aversions. See, this is the living in spirituality rather than living in ego here. So a lot of you are going to relate to this. At that very moment, the spark of the Phoenix is lit, and the great bird helps us burn through our baggage. We no longer run from who we are, what has happened to us, or what we have done. The stuckness and dead weight fall into the ashes, and a lightness and clarity emerge. As the stagnancy continues to smoulder, the Phoenix lifts our spirits up and up, and we begin to recognize ourselves again. We may catch a glimmer in our eye that wasn't there before. Look closely, it's a sign the fire of transformation is upon your wings. Now, I just want to read, because the Phoenix and the first chakra, and I guess it may be something to do with the rebirth here, but it says the ancient yogis believed that our heaviest karmas reside in the first chakra. This earthen center is called the Muladhara. The root chakra is probably just as easy. The ascent of the Phoenix begins here, or the ascent of the Phoenix begins here even. And as the entanglement of karmas is slowly burned, it rises from the ash towards the navel center. Again and again, it makes this journey from first to third chakra, purifying our essence and freeing us from the past. Well, wasn't that nice for today? Yes, so on point for our recent topics. Exactly right. And I think everybody's ready. And I know all of you, hey, Lenore, all of you have been through this journey. You're all at different stages because I talk to you and I know that you are really sort of starting to understand the journey. There are a lot of people out there who aren't, who are still in denial. And it's about embracing it. You can't fight against it and you can't question why it's happening. You just have to go with the flow and not try to control it. I think that it's really an extension of my morning reading. Yes, I think it might have been. Spirit is just amazing. It doesn't matter what happens. Things just fall into place like that. And even I question it sometimes. I think, wow, that was pretty strong, that message, and I forget, I'm already talking what Spirit wants me to talk. So when something just falls into place, I need to be going, thank you, and moving on rather than, wow, that was pretty awesome. Because it is amazing. So it's funny because I was about to do the thing this morning, the reading this morning, and I was drawn to get the wisdom of the oracle deck out, which I really love. And I learned that breathing happens in the diaphragm. It doesn't happen in the lungs or the chest. It happens down below. And when you're meditating, immediately you go to that lower part of your bottom of your lungs where your diaphragm is, and you diaphragm breathe. So I learned after a while how I could work with the panic by breathing correctly. And now it's just natural for me to breathe that way. Now, my understanding is in the countries, the Asian countries, China and that, I think people are taught to breathe the right way there already. But when you panic and you breathe in the top part of your lungs, you get short of breath and you're very often fighting that panic feeling. Breathing into the lower part of your lungs or your diaphragm keeps you much calmer because you're not running into your adrenaline supplies, which happens when you panic. And it all happens for a very good physiological reason, because when we're frightened or scared, and it's a very sort of primal instinct to go into shallow breathing so that you can send the I guess all your energy into your arms and legs so that you can run, because you might have had a saber-toothed tiger after you. Well, nowadays, of course, we run on this constant drain of energy in our bodies through stress, and we stress out about things that really we shouldn't. And once we press the stress button, sometimes we don't turn it off, so we're constantly in stress. It may be low level, and some of it's healthy. You need a little bit of stress to sort of get through your day, but when it's unhealthy stress, sometimes it can cause or create the flight, fight, freeze syndrome in your body. So what happens is you start to panic and you get adrenaline running through your body and primal instincts. I'm sure there was a movie called that. And then if you were frightened and it was real, like you had somebody walking behind you in a dark alley and you needed to run, that instinct needs to happen. It sends adrenaline out into your body. It sends all of your blood supply to your arms and legs so you can run. Now, this is often when we get stressed, why all of a sudden we get upset tummies and maybe the trots or running to the toilet, because our body doesn't service that when we're stressed. It services what we need, and that is the breathing fast and the running. So breathing for me was something I really had to learn to do properly, because I panicked every time I was in high stress. We're talking someone who was a total workaholic. I was working like 70, 80 hours a week. I had 3 children. I went to TAFE. I was doing volunteer work. Like, oh my God. Like when I look back, I think, how on earth did I even coordinate myself? So I burned myself out. I got completely sick. My body wouldn't digest food properly because obviously the panic had just taken over my body. It took me a while to work out what was wrong, but I read a lot from books. Okay, breathe. So the essential meanings for this card is about patience, waiting, going slowly, wellness, meditation, and trust. Now, doesn't that fit beautifully with the other cards? So the oracle's message here is patience in all things is called for right now. What do you need to do when you're in a rush? Slow down, of course. Meditate and trust. Breathe and repeat. Humans cannot exist without drawing breath. Now is the time to allow the life-giving element of air to replenish your body, your being, and your very essence. Stop to smell the roses, breathe in the sunlight, and release the darkness, and miracles will appear. So it's definitely about slowing down. And the thing is, at the moment, with so much going on in the world and everything happening, even though we're sort of in this situation, a lot of people are still very worried and anxious about what's happening out there. And you can't do anything about it. And it's teaching us to have that, ultimate trust. Hey, Joanne, how you going? It was synchronistic, yes. So I think it fits really nicely with the other things, just learning to be patient, meditate, breathe, and just take things slowly. And just realize there's not a lot you can do other than just sort of taking care of yourself, looking after yourself. But it seems to me with the other cards we read that there's a lot of change taking place. So maybe it's a time to be really prepared and really look after your own health. So with that, I'm going to go and make some more phone calls. Now I've had a little bit of a break. I think that was an absolutely beautiful little reading this morning. There are some people who have been on here most of the time that haven't come in today. So hopefully they'll go back and read that beautiful little message that came through. And yes, I think we're all sort of ready. I think I've got through all the getting online and saying hello to everybody. Thank you all you guys for joining me again. I reckon one day we should have a party somewhere, hire a big hall, and just everybody can come from all over the world, and we'll just have a little party, because it's so lovely catching up with you guys.